Lila Tilman is a friend of mine, again, another person I've known from another world, from stand-up comedy. This is her first, no, it's not, it's her second foray into storytelling. She's also a writer, and last week I had the pleasure of seeing her radio show performed at the Marrickville Theatre, and she's here to share a story from her life about a friend in need. Please welcome to the stage Lila Tilman.
Hello. So about 10 years ago, I'd lost pretty much the only thing I was good at, my first love. It was school. I just graduated from uni, and I was sort of floundering in my life because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was stuck in my university town, and I really didn't want to do that. And my friends didn't really understand because they hadn't done the university thing, and so it was just business as usual for them, and so we just go to the bar and get drunk and watch bands, except at this point in my life, I didn't really have that much money, but I did have a flatmate who had a steady supply of shrooms. So I would just, have some shrooms and go to the bar. And I wouldn't tell anybody, so I just sit there reveling in the power of my sneaky high. And no one would notice that anything was up, even though, Lila seems pretty out of it and she's only been sipping water all night. And I think I was just sort of half just perversely enjoying this thrill ride and half just come on guys, come on. Look at this. This is not right. But, at this time, my friend Sarah, she'd been going out with this guy for about 4 or 5 months. And Sarah was just this hard as nails sort of chick. She had 2 facial expressions, and one of them was blank and the other one was she was just tough. She drank whiskey straight. She listened to death metal. She was just sarcastic to the point of abrasive, and I loved her for it. But after going out with this guy for a few months, she was starting to sort of change in subtle ways. She was just sort of getting soft around the edges, and she was having 3 or 4 facial expressions, and and she turned from a person who hated public displays of affection, totally across the board, boyfriend, girlfriend, parent, child, all of it. She was against it. And she changed from this to being the kind of girl who you'd see sitting in her boyfriend's lap, making out as the lights came up. And so on this night at the bar, when her brother and sister were getting ready to go, I was getting ready to go too. It was I don't want to be there for this because you don't really know where to look and it's awkward. And as I was getting ready to go, she looked at me and she said, "Please stay." And Sarah really didn't do the word please. So I sat the hell down okay, what's going on here? And all night, she and her boyfriend had been going outside having these sort of deep and meaningfuls, and it was just really awkward. It's when your parents are fighting, and me with my sneaky high, it was just I just regressed to the point of child. It's I don't know how to handle these undercurrents. And so we left at the end of the night, and he's Don is just being really clingy, and we're trying to take him home, and she's about to turn down the street where he lives, and he grabs the steering wheel and he's don't turn, don't turn. But she manages to turn anyway, and we pull up outside of his house. And he gets out, and she sort of looks at me and she says, I can get rid of him, I can do this. And it's okay. And so she gets out and they're talking, and I'm sitting in the car, and I get out of the back seat and move to the passenger seat so that he can't get in the car anymore, because I'm all about passive-aggressive stands. And while they're having their discussion in the middle of the road at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm just sitting there, and I'm I don't know where to look, because it's they're having this private couple crap, and so I'm looking away, getting distracted by shiny things, and looking back and looking away and looking back. And I think I'm waiting for that moment where it sort of turns into something that isn't private couple crap and that I actually have to care about. And I look away for a particularly long period of time, and when I look back over, they're not in the middle of the street anymore, and Sarah's jacket is just lying on the ground. And so I just start looking around where the hell have they gone? And then I see that Don's got Sarah by the arm, and he's trying to drag her into his house, and she's holding on to the banister like a cartoon cat that doesn't want to be put into a bathtub. She just doesn't want to go into that house. And at that point I figure, okay, this is my moment. This is not private couple crap. I should care about this. And so I climb over into the driver's seat and just start laying on the horn, and just I won't let up until he lets her go, and they're both heading back to the car. And so Sarah gets into the car and she like locks the door, and Don sort of looks into the car at me and he starts yelling at me about how I'm going to wake his neighbors up. And it's like, I don't care. Stop trying to drag my friend into your creepy house, Don. And so he reaches into the car and he's like trying to get to her through me. So I'm freaking out and rolling up the windows, and we lock all the doors, and he's like, okay, we're safe in the car. And Sarah looks at me like, okay, come on, Lila, let's go. Let's get out of here. Except Sarah's forgotten one important thing and she doesn't know the second thing. And the first thing that she doesn't remember is that I don't know how to drive. Have never had a driver's license. I don't know the brakes from the gas. And she doesn't know that I'm tripping my face off. Also not ideal circumstances. And so I'm freaking out, and she's trying to show me how to put the car into drive, and I'm just like, ah! And John is standing in front of the car so that we can't drive forward. So Sarah manages to get the car into reverse, and we're rolling backwards. And I'm freaking out because I'm kind of driving now. And that's when Don jumps onto the hood of the car. And so that's when I start mega freaking out, and like Sarah practically sort of drags me into the back seat and pushes me out so she can get into the driver's seat. And then I climb back up into the passenger seat. And now we're sort of reversing slowly down the street, and we're both sort of like, okay, oh God, what do we do? And so I'm like, okay, scale it back. Be calm, Lila. Be the calm Lila that I know you can be. So I'm like, okay, go to the main street. Someone will see us and help. Except it's 2 a.m. in a small town in Michigan, and there's no one. And then Sarah has this brainwave that we're like close to the police station. So we're driving through the streets with Don on the hood of the car, and he's giving me these crazy intense eyes through the windscreen. I can't even deal with it. And we get to the driveway of the police station, and when he realizes we're at the police station, and so Sarah's blowing the horn, and he jumps off the car. It's like, okay, it's over. And so we start backing out, and he jumps back on the hood. And then Sarah starts blowing the horn, and he jumps off. And then we start backing up, and he jumps on the hood again. And this goes on for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. And we're sitting there like, okay, surely a policeman is going to come out and see what's going on with this. It would have been the first time in my life would I would ever be excited to see a policeman. But like no one comes out. And like finally we just sort of convince him to stop jumping on the hood of the car. And he's like, okay, no, this is fine, it's over, okay, guys, you just let me back in the car, drive me home. I'll go away, I swear. And we're not dumb, so we don't let him back in the car. And so he starts walking away, and we're pretty close to Sarah's place at this point. And then it occurs to us that we need to get home before he gets to her place, because we know that's where he's going, we just know it. And so we drive there and we sort of rush in, and she's on the second floor of a duplex, and like it's got these 2 sets of stairs at the front and the back, and there's like 4 sets of doors. And so we're sort of running through trying to lock all the doors and windows we can find. And we sort of sit in the dark, and her brother who lives with her and his girlfriend come out, and they're like, okay, what the hell is going on? And so it's like, Don's kind of gone crazy, and we think he's coming here. And about 2 minutes later, we hear him trying the front door. And then a few minutes after that, we hear him trying the back door. And then a few minutes after that, we hear him trying one of the windows on the second floor. And so we're just like, okay, what the fuck? And so like Sarah's brother goes to the door and he's like, Don, I'm going to call the police and you need to go. And he tries for a few minutes to like get Sarah to come out and talk to him. And even if she had wanted to go out, we wouldn't have let her. And eventually he just sort of walks away and leaves. And we spend the rest of the night just sort of like sitting in the dark, waiting for him to come back and smoking. And he doesn't come back. And the next morning I have to go to work, which is also pretty close by, and tell like the people at this 5-star hotel that if you see a tall, angry man who wants to know anything about me, just, let me know so I can call the police, just quietly. Because that's the kind of thing you want to happen at your place of business. And after that, I sort of, like Sarah and I sort of drifted apart, and we never really talked about Don, and we never talked about that relationship, and we just swept it under the rug. And I left town a little bit after that. And it wasn't until like several years later when I started thinking back on my sneaky highs and like wanting them to sort of notice that something was wrong. because I was sort of pissed off that I was sitting there, like, clearly out of it and really not there. And I just kept wondering if maybe that entire time when she was in this relationship that was turning her into a completely different person, if she was also sitting there and wanting someone to notice that she wasn't really there either. And so these days I sort of keep a closer eye on my friends. So thank you.
Lila Tilman.